Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us once again. For those joining us on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad you all can be with us. Going to welcome us tuning in on Instagram as well. And last but certainly not least, going to bring in our friends over on Amazon Live so I can introduce you guys to a great guest. This guest is going to make you laugh, going to make you think, but also hopefully be able to not only pick up her book, but also share it with other people. So make sure you guys do stay tuned. Rock's going to let you guys know how to stay connected with her. And we're now live on the Amazon Live platform with Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, going to type you guys in a welcome message there. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the new book by our guest. We're excited to welcome Joy Alicia to our broadcast today. We're going to talk to her not only about her life as a comic, a podcast host, but also the author of this book you guys can see here with a very appropriate title, So Drunk a Tooth's Gotta Go. I'm going to talk to Joy not only about the writing of the book, but also her own life, what it's been like for her to share her love of comedy, but also to be able to use it in her life as well. If you guys are not staying connected with Joy, we'll let you guys know how to do that. But Joy, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I can't wait to get into it.
Well, look, I can already tell this is going to be fun. When I was prepping for your segment, of course, I was on your Instagram, and I can tell you're one of these people, Joy, who not only is able to, as I mentioned, make people laugh, but you are someone, too, who's been able to make people think, too. What has that been like for you to be able to use your gifts in a way that you can not only entertain, Joy, but also to be able to inspire people, too?
It's everything to me because I wrote this book partially because of the people who've inspired me to be so forthcoming, to be so raw, to be so open. And I do feel that I have the ability to be funny, and being funny is such a tool to get people interested, to have people be informed. This book really accomplishes informing people and entertaining people. So I do feel gifted because the humor comes to me. It's not anything I really struggle with or anything that's very difficult. It just comes to me. So because it comes to me, I feel I should share it.
Yeah. It's so interesting here you say that, Joy. That is not one of my gifts personally. I'm more the studious guy, and I'm if something's in a book, I can be able to share it. I'm not someone that people would look at as being, comedic. But I love the fact that you're able to have recognized that. When did that start for you? Is that something you've always known was just a part of your personality and a gift for you?
You know, to this day, when I'm not making a joke, people are on the floor rolling around laughing. When I'm making a joke, they are not laughing as much. So
Okay.
it just became apparent to me that people found me funny.
Mhm.
I personally don't consider myself funny, but I know I
Mhm.
have the ability to be funny because my bar for who I consider funny and humor is so high. And I think once you start describing yourself as funny and hilarious or just truly believing that, you're no longer funny. You kind of always have to want more. So I think people just have always been laughing when I wasn't trying to be funny. And I think that that's key because there's people who try so hard and they fail and then they just keep trying. And I don't know why so many people try to be funny. Like it's not something everybody is good at and
Right.
something everybody is good at naturally, but for some reason so many people try to do it. So for me, it just kind of, I guess, through people's responses throughout my life when I literally was just not trying to be funny, their reactions are kind of what showed me.
Gotcha. And what I think anyone who picks up the book, So Drunk a Tooth's Gotta Go, Joy, one thing they'll see is that the humor is there in some of the experiences that you talk us through in the essays. But what really struck me is how you're able to use humor almost like an armor and protection for yourself. When did you realize that role? Because I think that kind of comes out whether we're talking about dating or the words people may say to you or situations you may find yourself in. How did you realize the protection that comedy could bring you?
I think life is incredibly hard and life sucks, and it's easy to feel bad for yourself or to pity yourself, especially if you're comparing yourself to other people.
Right.
So, if you can just find a way to make the cards that you're dealt, find a way to make certain situations, events, humorous, you're winning because you're either wallowing and feeling bad about yourself or you're turning it into comedic gold. And not everybody could do that. So I
Right.
just feel fortunate. For me, it was like, okay, I knew I wanted to write about these stories, but some of them were just too heavy if I was not funny about them. You know, even some of the topics, when I talk about breakups, like breakups are terrible, but I was just like, let me throw in as many jokes as I can to describe the just to describe what it's like to be heartbroken and just to be missing someone. So I just it's something that I thought this is the right approach. If you're funny, you could talk about almost anything
Right.
and people can relate to it and be interested in it because I don't even know what it's like to not write jokes in my work except for some of the heavier topics. Like some of my absolute favorite chapters in the book are the serious ones, like Monolith, which is about racism. That is one of my favorite chapters. And A Day in the Life of a Female Driver is also one of my favorite chapters. So I also really value the ability to not be funny and to just be real and raw and serious when it calls for it.
Yes.
So I just think if you could laugh about hardships, you're winning because you're always going to have hardships. You are.
So true. Buckets, I got you. I see you over there on YouTube. I have a lot of female guests that Joy, so he's telling me to save some women for the rest of us.
They're saying what?
One of my YouTube watchers are telling me to save some women for the rest of us. He's watching us over on YouTube. But I have
I'm
you know have a lot.
single. I'm single. I don't know if he means like if he's asking for me or if I'm just embarrassing myself right now.
No, 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 no. I think he is. He is. But I think because he's so used to see, I have a lot of female guests on the program. But yeah, she's just a guest, Bucket. Since she said she's single, and that's a great lead-in, though, Joy. Because so let's talk about relationships. I mean, I'm also a single guy, but my thing is, I find that, and especially in watching comics, the relationships are gold anyway when it comes to comedy. Did you, for yourself, when it comes to the book, to kind of give our audience some backstory here, were some of these essays things that you actually use in your routines, or talk to us about how you decided what you wanted to include in the book?
You are so smart. You are so good at your job. Because I love that question. I think like it's a brilliant question that I haven't been asked before. So
Mm,
in the book, I have a rant about married people that is from my stand up.
gotcha.
And so in totality, there's only two small sections of the book, keyword small, like a few paragraphs that are my stand up.
Mm,
That is my stand up is separate.
gotcha.
So to answer your question about what was your question again? I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. What were some of the essays? Did they start off as part of your stand up routine?
Yeah, so I only have two very small sections in the book that are stand up. Those are separate,
Hmm.
which makes me really happy because I don't think a reader could be able to tell. Because I know before
Right.
somebody told me she was like, this is your stand up." Like people called sections stand up that are not stand up. It's
Hmm.
very, very, very limited as
Gotcha.
far as
Well, let me tell you what made me ask you the question, Joy, because I could see the way you wrote these. I could see you standing up there telling some of these stories, you
yeah.
know. And so but I think that goes to, because again, talking about the gift that you have of kind of bringing us in to these situations. I think that that's part of that gift, but also letting us kind of see how it plays out, so we were able to visualize it. What was the most difficult topic for you? You talked about the fun ones for you. What were the most difficult ones that you chose to include in the essays?
Another great question. You're like, Joy, shut up. Like, this is my job.
No,
Um,
no, no, no. You're good. No, you're good.
so basically, the chapter Roy in Reno, I
I
think
remember
it's
that
like
one.
second
Yeah.
chapter, second to last chapter. That's about heartbreak. So like I was bawling. Like I wrote that and I would bawl my eyes out when I would read it. So
Mhm.
I edited a lot out. I took a lot out because I just felt that it was a little too much to make available for public consumption.
Got it.
Um, but then out beyond that chapter, I definitely cut at least, I feel, at least 50 pages. So I understand that people naturally, they're going to feel like they know my life story.
Mhm.
But basically, I have to be comfortable with what I share. And I'm
Right.
obviously beyond open. Everybody should know the things I say in this book, a lot of people would never say. Um,
Right.
but I still have my own parameters of okay, am I comfortable with this or not? And I just think I'm speaking about universal experiences, like I talk about in the preface, that people
Mhm.
just don't want to say openly. I'm not very timid about those things.
So I want to
Oh,
talk to you about that.
hardest,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
the hardest was Roy and Rena.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you more about that because you bring up an interesting point that goes to something I remember from the book we're going to get into. I want to say, first of all, for those who are just tuning in, appreciate the hearts over there on Amazon Live. Welcome. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live, but we are simulcasting this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. We're speaking with Joy Alicia today. She's a stand up comic, she's a writer, and the author of the book you guys see here, So Drunk, A Tooth's Gotta Go. As you guys can see here on the Amazon side, I'm going to highlight it for you. You guys can get it not only in print, we also can get the Kindle edition there for only $4.99. So you can start clicking it and reading it right now. We're talking to Joy not only about the book, but also about the making of the book, her use of comedy in her life. And of course, at the end, we're going to remind you guys how you can stay connected with her. I want to go to the point you just made, though, Joy, because this is an interesting thing to think about. Because you talked about the perimeters, right? Because people would read this book in first glance and think, you're willing to talk about everything. But it is interesting, like even the one chapter that talks about, well, there's a name calling incident that happens that can be considered as being one racially charged, but also kind of derogatory. And you talk about in the book about not being offended by someone calling you black, because basically being able to take that back. How do you kind of define those lines for yourself? How do you define the lines of what is okay for the public and also what needs to be kept for Joy?
You know, I'm a rebellious person. I've always been rebellious. I don't like rules. I really don't like authority.
Yeah,
So I just feel that I've always gravitated towards those who've been really open and honest. And if
yeah,
that's what I gravitate towards, and that's what I want to bring to the table myself.
mhm,
So I just feel like, okay, these things happened. I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to talk about them in an entertaining way. And as long as I feel comfortable with it, as I said, like one chapter would make me cry, but in hindsight, as I said, the first chapter, people are traumatized by me talking about losing my tooth. And I have already been slut shamed, and that's to be expected. I expect people to slut shame me. The more people
yeah,
read this book, the more I expect people to slut shame me because I obviously have a bit of a free spirit, and I think
yeah,
that that's going to be very triggering for
yeah.
women who just do not. So if I mean, I just don't. I just feel that there's no point in worrying about what other people think,
Yeah.
and I think that comes through in my work.
Do you think that as you've gone throughout your career, Joy, that has made that easier for you? Because, for a lot of people who get in the public, you know, a lot of time it becomes overwhelming. Do you feel like the longer you've been in the industry doing what you do, it makes it easier for you to kind of brush off some of what may come your way?
I'm waiting. I am waiting. Okay, like I'm waiting to be A-list, honey. Like I am not there yet.
Mhm.
But I've read the comments that people post on celebrity stories
Right.
since comments have been invented. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the anger that's projected. that people do with people in the public eye, but it's kind of, I just feel like it's a trade-off. So for myself, I feel like there's so much value in this book. Objectively speaking, I just believe that my dating hacks chapter will change the game, and I think it will protect women. I think it will do
Gotcha.
both of those things. So the dating hacks chapter is very, very important to me. But it was also very important to me for me to really shine a light on what it is to be in the gig economy, because people have no idea. They literally think, okay, you get in somebody's car and Uber paid for the vehicle, Uber's paying for the gas, Uber's paying for the maintenance, or they could just be rude. And so it's just very important for me to use my voice to just help women and to just educate people.
Yeah.
So.
Let's talk about the dating tips. I wanted to kind of leave that toward the end anyway, because for one, I have very little experience in that area. But I did find it interesting, and I read it, and I think there's some really cool things that are there. Again, as someone who has been able to take experiences as you have, Joy, and then to share advice. One of the things I thought was really interesting that you brought up in there was the importance, especially for the woman, not to get lost, not to lose herself. And I think a lot of times that's something we don't necessarily think about, that that doesn't happen. But talk to us about that. Why it was important for you to, as you're sharing advice and sharing experiences, letting them know about the importance of not forgetting yourself, not leaving yourself behind.
Do you mean in regards to what they want or what
Right.
they're?
And what they want, right, and what they're willing to give up to get someone else.
It's hard out here. It's really hard out here, and I think ultimately, it's pointless to, be desperate and just not want to be by yourself.
Yeah.
It's just it never ends well, and you really could have spent your time alone and happy, or with somebody else and happy. But
Mhm.
it for me, it's just really important for me to help people stop being so frustrated by these apps. You're frustrated by the apps when you aren't using them, when you could be using them more efficiently. And so if you use them more efficiently, you will only have good first dates. You will really have a more pleasurable experience on these apps. Like, people like to talk poorly about them, but it is the way that the majority of people find someone today. And so you could have nothing to do with the apps, but what I always say is everybody that you meet on the street is also on the apps. So you could just pick and choose what you want to think is real or not.
Right.
So I just think when you talk about losing yourself, confidence is so important,
Yeah.
because people have tried to break me down. Like I talk about in my chapter about bullies. Like, this didn't happen yesterday, but to be dating someone who tells you maybe if you looked better, I would treat you nicer. So many people would think that they are not enough, they
Hmm.
need to make drastic changes. They need to accept any type of crumbs that are given to them. And it was like, okay, I recognize that if I'm being told that, that person does not like me.
Yeah.
So I credit all of it to just being raised to be confident. And
Yeah.
like, I would be a different person if I wasn't raised to be confident, because look at the people who've tried to tear me down, in
Right.
life. So and if you're not raised to be confident, you can change that. Even positive affirmations, like your subconscious is very, very powerful. And just only speaking positively about yourself. It helps. It really, really does. Like, look in the mirror, say you're hot, say you're sexy, all of it just has an effect on you, so that when people try to break you down, you're like, okay, this is not what I want to be involved in.
Yeah. It's so the mixture you've given us, Joy, in this book, I think is so needed, because again, as I mentioned in the beginning of the conversation, you have the comedy, but you also have, as you just talked about, the confidence, you have the knowing, you have the awareness. So I think all of those together really make these essays something that people will enjoy. last thing I want to talk to you about, though, is what is it like for you to embrace this new chapter of your life? You've been known as a comic, you've been known as a writer, of course, you've been known, of course, for online dating. What is it like for you now to embrace the title of author?
I always wanted to write a book ever since I was a little girl, and I didn't think I had it in me. And because I think most people want to write a book, but until they actually do it, they don't know if they can. And
Yeah.
so I really, really wanted to write a book, didn't know if it was possible. And it feels like such a great accomplishment, but it also makes me so hungry to get people to know this is out there, get their hands on this book. I really, really want people to get this book in the coming months so that they'll read it and be like, okay, I should get this for someone for Christmas. I think it's a
Yeah.
great holiday present. So it's a bucket list item, and I would love to write more books, but I say, I have to see how this goes. I
Yeah.
really, really do. But I know I my goal is 5 books. I would like to write 5 books.
There you go. Love it. Again, everyone, Joy Alicia has been our guest. She's a comic, she's a writer, and the author of the book you guys see here, So Drunk, A Tooth's Gotta Go, out now on Amazon. You all can be able to get it either in print or, again, as I mentioned, the Kindle edition's available as well. Joy, congratulations to you. Really appreciate the time. How can our audience stay connected with you?
I'm glad my light just went out and we're wrapping up and it was plugged in. It's like, oh my goodness. Okay, so my website is joyalicia.com. My
All right.
online dating coaching is at onlinedatingssavior.com. And then I could be found primarily on Instagram at the letter J underscore the letter O underscore Y. That's all in the back of the book. And the book is free on Kindle Unlimited as
Okay.
well. So if anybody has Kindle Unlimited, they could get on there, read it. Definitely tell me what you think. I want your feedback and tell me about how like you're having fun dating and you're finding special people.
Love it. But Joy, congratulations to you. Really appreciate you stopping by. Looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you so much, Cyrus.
Hey, more than welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you'll make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.